Hello there, and welcome back to the Tavern of Fellowship. Today I want to tackle what is perhaps the most commonly misunderstood commandment in the Bible. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Many believe this commandment simply means not to use God's name as a curse word. While it's absolutely true that we should speak with reverence and that using God's name as a cuss word would have surely gotten you a strongly worded letter from St. Paul, this interpretation only scratches the surface. To understand the true meaning, we need to look at the original Hebrew text and how it was quite literally bore by God's people. The phrase, "take the Lord's name in vain," can also be understood as bearing or taking upon God's name in vain. This commandment was given to the Israelites, God's chosen people, who were to be his representatives on earth. Let's dive back into the book of Exodus briefly to understand the deeper and more important meaning to this commandment and how Jesus teaches Christians to carry this on to its fulfillment. In ancient Israel, the high priest wore a special headplate as part of his priestly garments. This headplate, known as the tzitz in Hebrew, was a golden band that bore an inscription of God's name. It was worn on the forehead, tied with a blue cord, and symbolized the high priest's dedication and responsibility to bear God's name in his service. The instruction for this headplate is found in the book of Exodus, Exodus 28:36-38. The inscription on the headplate declared that the high priest was set apart for God's service. By wearing this plate, the high priest bore the name of the Lord, both literally and symbolically. The headplate signified the high priest's total dedication to God's service. It served as a constant reminder to him and to the people that he was representing God. A side note, our Lord God has a personal name revealed in the Hebrew Bible specifically to Moses that our English Bibles translate as Lord in all capitalization. But that is a video for another time. Another layer to this is that the text indicates that the high priest bore the guilt involved in the sacred gifts, meaning he carried the responsibility of ensuring that the offerings were acceptable to God. By wearing the headplate, he took on the role of bearing God's name and ensuring the holiness of the worship practices, which becomes clear when the rest of the commandment is considered. The third of the 10 Commandments read in full is, "You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain." This highlights that God does not take this responsibility lightly, and nor should we. Before you say, "That's for the ancient Israelite priests, not for us today," let us consider the words of Christ.
You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its flavor, how shall it be seasoned? It is then good for nothing but to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven.
As we read, Jesus emphasized this very commandment to us in his teachings. In the Sermon on the Mount, he called his followers to be the light of the world and a city set on a hill. Jesus fulfilled the commandment by showing that bearing God's name is about living out his values and being a true reflection of his love and justice. The Apostle Peter emphasizes in his first letter, "But you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession, that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light." 1 Peter 2:9. For us today, bearing God's name means more than just our words. It's about our actions, our lifestyle, and how we reflect Christ in our daily lives. We're called to be his light in the world, showing his love and mercy through our deeds and behavior. So in a very short summary, "Thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain" calls us to a higher standard of living as God's representatives, to not only fulfill our call to be made in his image, but also shine like a lighthouse beacon, calling the lost of the world into the kingdom of heaven. If you found this exploration helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to join us in the tavern as we dive into the world of the Scriptures in future videos. Finally, brothers, rejoice. Aim for restoration, comfort one another, agree with one another, live in peace, and the God of love and peace will be with you.